Hi and welcome to my How I Do It series. Great to see you here. In this video I'm going to show you how I create my PSD mockups that you can see that I use here in my Etsy rather. So this is my Etsy store and these are my digital products that I've created, and these are the mockups that I've created using free PSD mockups. Now, in order to do this as I'm going to teach you, you'll require Photoshop. I use Photoshop CS6, and you'll need a PSD mockup. Now I'll get into those bits and pieces, but first I'll just show daily planner printable. Then you get a huge array of results that come up, and all of these, pretty much 9 out of 10 of these listings are made up with PSD mockups or similar. So very few of them are actually photographs, even though some of them look like just beautifully staged photographs. Most all of them are done and created using mockups like I'm going to teach you. So as you can see, there's a huge array of different kinds of mockups out there. Some are free and some are paid. You work with whatever your budget is. If you just jump into Google, you can do a quick free PSD mockup search. PSD is the short term for the Photoshop file extensions. So you can see here all the results that have come up. Some of my favorite ones are psdcovers.com. They have a whole assortment of mockups. These days aren't just limited to books. They've got a heap of other products as well that they do mockups for. Another one here is mockupworld.co. Huge assortment again of all sorts of different things. You've got, the brand new iPhone 7, flat lays, wall posters, iMacs, all sorts. For this teaching video, I'm going to be using this one here from graphicburger.com. It's an A4 paper mock-up of a clipboard, and there's 2 A4 pages here. So you just scroll down and there's the download button here. I have downloaded that file, unzipped it and opened it up in Photoshop. So we'll jump over to Photoshop. As you can see here, it's Adobe Photoshop CS6. So unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with any other platform you might use to make mockups, but what I am super familiar with is the program that I've used for the last 15 years, which is Photoshop. So you can see here we have the mockup opened. It's a PSD file, which means that there's layers over here on the right. So if we expand this paper front layer here, you can see the red shaded bar. That means that this is a smart object. And then if we open the next folder, you'll see there's another smart object in here. Now, smart objects is what you want to look for in your PSD mockup files, because that's what makes it super simple and pretty much automates this mockup creation process. So before I do any next step, I need to open the digital product that I'm going to use. So I'll jump over here to Finder. And these are all my digital products here. I'm picking out one of my most popular items and making sure it's the PDF file that I'm opening. So I'm going to open this one here directly in Photoshop. Give it a minute to open and you'll be presented with this box here. Make sure where it says crop to, make sure you select art box. It means that it will maintain the margins that you've created in your PDF file, otherwise it might crop it and cut off some of the artwork or throw out the layout just a smidge. Now you can see here that this checkerboard pattern at the background means that this page is transparent and it doesn't have a background, so I'm just going to go and add one in. We'll just make it a solid white background. I'll drag that layer to the bottom, and now now I will merge these layers. So I'm just selecting that there. Layers are now merged. I'm a huge keyboard shortcut user. Again, it's probably, because over a decade of experience I have with Photoshop, that I know that I can hit Command A. It might be Control A on PC, but here on my Mac it's Command A, which is select all. It's selected the whole document. Another shortcut is Command C for copy. Now it's copied this image to the clipboard. So we jump back over to here to our mockup. now that that image is on the clipboard, and we're going to double click on this first smart object. So when you double click it, you might be presented with a message box. Double check what it says, but more often than not, just click what any of the copy or anything here. I'm just going to do a Control V, and that is for paste, and so it's now pasted my my digital product. And I'm going to now hit Control T, which is for transform, and I'm just going to zoom out. Make sure that constraints like maintain aspect ratio is clicked, and I'm just going to shrink this down to the size of the page and then hit enter once I'm satisfied. Command 0 will bring it back to full screen. I'm going to delete this layer here because it's not needed. Delete this group and its contents, so delete only the group. We can delete the group and contents. And now all we need to do is save it. So I'm going to do Command S to save. And in the magic of Photoshop Smart Object land, we can now click back here to this mockup, and voila, look at that magic. So now my digital product is on this front page. So I'm going to replicate the product again on this second page, just so that it kind of looks a little bit like a desktop where you might print out a handful of them to use each day. So again, we double click on the next object. We want to keep the layers and dismiss these messages. We're now presented with the next mockup. Again, because we've still got that file on the clipboard, I'm going to hit Command V and it will paste it. Again, if you're using a different image for this page, then obviously just go and do what we've done before. Open that PDF and copy it and then paste it to the clipboard, to this layer here. Command T, which is to transform, and then Command minus just to zoom out so I can see it all. Maintain that aspect ratio, toggle that on. Shrink it down to the right size. Hit enter to confirm the cropping. Command 0 back to full screen. And just to keep it clean, I'm going to delete this layer. Yep, group and contents. Just making sure that the PDF that we want to have is showing up there. Okay, let's close that there. Sorry, I've got messages and all sorts coming up. We'll jump back over to Photoshop. Okay, and now I'm going to hit Save, Control S on this one. And by the magic of Photoshop, jump back over to the original mockup, and look at that. Jeepers, that looks mighty fine. Now the beauty of mockups like this is not only does a smart object make it super easy to insert your file into, but it includes all the effects it needs to create, you know, the right lighting effects, the shadow effects, everything that's in context with this image. So now that this is done, I typically do a file save and save it as a PSD file, and then I go back and do a file save and save it as either a JPEG or a PNG. And once you've done that, then you officially have a file that you can go and upload into your Etsy store or wherever else it might be that you would love to be able to have a completed mock-up picture of your beautiful product. I trust that's explained everything for you. Any questions you have, jump over to my Facebook page, which is simply called Chance, or come and join in the conversation in my Facebook page, my Facebook group, Chance Favors the Bold. I love supporting dedicated entrepreneurs to success, so I hope this tip has helped you, and let me know of any other training videos you'd like to see. Happy mock-up making!